Now, global trade. So global trade represents export and import both. So let us read this slide and we will analyze this slide in detail in the upcoming slides. India's merchandise trade balance. So can you remember, do you remember merchandise word? So merchandise word here represents the goods. India's merchandise trade balance improved from 2019 914 to 1419. So there is an improvement in the trade balance, although most of the improvement in the later period was due to, so what was the reason? Due to more than 50% decline in the crude prices in 16-17. So crude petroleum is the major item of import, and because there is a decline in the crude oil prices, therefore the value of imports drastically went down. The value of import drastically went down. Because of this value of import drastically going down, this trade balance has become comparatively favorable, right? So this can be a question that India's trade balance became favorable in the last 5 years compared to the preceding 5 years because of the crude oil prices decline. So statement is right. Now, India's top 5 trading partners. What is the meaning of trading partners? So trading partners means the countries with whom we are doing the trade. So top 5 trading partner means the countries with whom export and import combined as a percentage of total foreign trade of the country. Total foreign trade of the country is highest, right? So for example, total foreign trade of the country is 100 rupees. Export and import with a particular country is 20 rupees. Both export and import. Export is 15 rupees and import is 5 rupees. So combinedly, export and import combinedly, this is 15 and 5, 20. So 20 upon 100. So this is the trading ratio. This is the trade percentage, trade share basically, right? So similarly, 20, 15, whatsoever, right? So similarly, we will see the top 5% out of the total countries in the world, right? So similarly, in India we have identified India's top 5 trading partners. So these top 5 trading partner. So top 5 trading partner means combinedly both export and import. We are not talking only about export or only about import. We are talking about combined. So this is USA, China, UAE, Saudi Arabia and Hong Kong. Now this information you can utilize when you are writing the answers of GS2 mains. In that paper you can mention the significance of USA. If there is a question that what is the significance of USA, then you can write a line that as per the Economic Survey 2019-20, the USA is the top trading partner of the India. Similarly, you can write for the other countries as well. Coming to the exports. So top export items. So what are the top export items? One is the petroleum products. So we are exporting refined petroleum products. We are importing the crude petroleum and we have very good refining capacity. Therefore, we are exporting refined petroleum products. Precious stones. We are very good in processing of the jewelry items and the other precious stones. Drug formulations and biologicals. So this is from the pharma sector. Pharmaceutical sector is very good from the export point of view. Then gold and the other precious metals. So these are the top export items. Friends, you might ask, sir, what is important in the examination from this slide? You can just remember the name of item. They will not ask the chronology. They will not ask out of the all item which is the topmost item. But still you should know, as an aware citizen, from the overall exam perspective, you should know what are the important items. So that will help you maybe in eliminating or selecting some option in the prelims examination, or maybe writing a important line in the mains answer. So this will give you competitive edge. Largest export destinations. So the countries who are receiving the largest exports are USA, UAE, China and Hong Kong. Now you can see India's top 5 trading partners. Trading partner, they are the trading partner. That means export and import combined. When we combine both, we compare with the total foreign trade, and then we get the total percentage of the India's foreign trade, right? So USA is having 11.3% of the total foreign trade of India. China is having 10.9% of the total foreign trade of India. UAE is having 7.3% of total foreign trade of India. Saudi Arabia is having 4.1% of total foreign trade of India. Hong Kong is having 3.7% of total foreign trade of India. So the first highest trading partner goes to the USA, second to the China, third to the UAE. So top 3 you can remember, otherwise you can forget others. So USA, China, UAE, these are the top 3 trading partners. India's top 5 import items. So these are the import items. So what are the import items? The first item is the crude petroleum. So crude petroleum is the largest item. This is the largest item. Second one is the gold. So we are very fond of gold. We love gold a lot. Petroleum products, coal and coke. Top 5 export items we already discussed in the previous slide. Petroleum products, precious stones, drugs, formulations and biologicals, gold and other precious metals, iron and steel. So you can see that these top 5 export items in these petroleum products, this is in the export and this is in the import also, right? What else? Gold and precious items, this is in the export also and import also. So similarly you can see that there are some common items. Now again I am saying they will not ask which one is the topmost item. Still you should know that okay, these are the important items. India's top 10 trading partners. So here you can see in 2019-20 again they were same: USA, China and UAE. You do not need to remember the other names. Top 10 export destinations in 2011-12 and 2019-20. So there is a gap of 10 years. In the 10 years, is there a change? Let us see. So in 11-12, this is represented in the blue bar, and in the 19-20, this is represented through the orange bar. So in the 11-12, the largest share was occupied by the UAE. So the export destination was the UAE. Second highest was the USA. Third one was the China. Now in 2019-20, after a gap of almost 10 years, this slot has been occupied by the USA first and UAE second. So there is a shift in position between USA and UAE. Earlier UAE used to be the largest export destination, and now USA is the largest export destination. Commodity wise composition of export. Commodity wise composition, that is what is the percentage of the each item by share in the percent. So you can see petroleum products, this is occupying the highest share. So out of the total export, petroleum product export is approximately 18.5%. Second, pearl, precious, semi-precious stone is 9.3%. Coming to the in the second box, you can see so this first box was from the 2011-12 and this box is in 19-20. So there is a gap of almost 10 years. Here you can see petroleum product export has declined from 18.5 to 13.3. So earlier this was 18.5, now this is 13.3. Second highest item is same, pearl, precious, semi-precious stones, but this share has declined. So this small shift you can see, but what is more important is the top item. The top item are petroleum products, pearl, precious stones and drug formulations. So petroleum sector, precious stones and pharma sector, these are the top 3 export contributing sectors. If you are writing any answer in the GS paper mains 3, you can write that we should actually focus on the other sectors also apart from petroleum, precious stone and pharma sector. So this is how you can improve your answer by using the facts from these diagrams. Now, India's share in the world exports. How much is the India's share in the world exports? So you can see this orange line in 2012. So in 2011, the share of India in the world export was 1.64%. So this is a very shameful thing. Not shameful, but this is like not respectable thing, that our share in the total world export is just 1.64%. Our population is almost 16% of the world, but our export is just 1.64%. We really need to work upon the export because it will bring a lot of job opportunities, a lot of foreign exchange, and it will increase the overall standard of living of the people also. So in 11-12 this was 1.64%, in 2013 this was 1.78%, and now after a gap of almost 7 years, in the year 2018, again this has come to 1.64%. So this is the important aspect, otherwise rest of the things are not that much important. Now import, top import items. So we have already seen this. Yeah, so this in this slide, the second one is important, and the first one also. India's imports continue to be largest from. So China is the largest supplier to India. So largest import come from the China, followed by USA and UAE. Right. So China is the largest exporter to India. Merchandise imports to GDP ratio declined. So import to GDP has actually declined for India, entailing a net positive impact. So definitely if the merchandise import will decline, definitely it will have a positive impact upon the BOP, right? Now coming to India's imports. India's import and share of POL import in the total import and crude oil price. So this diagram you can see from these 3 perspectives. India's imports. So India's imports, this is given in this total merchandise import. This is given in US billion dollars. So this US billion dollars amount has been given over here. In 2011-12, this was 489.3, and now this is in 19. So in 18-19, this is 514. So there is an increase in the overall merchandise import. Crude oil price of Indian basket. So this crude oil price in 11-12, this was approximately 100, more than 100. Then it declined in 15-16, 16-17. This came down almost to half, and now it has been declining, but still it is about below 100. So this crude oil price you can see. Friends, third one is share of POL, petroleum oil lubricant import. So share of POL is very high. You can see in this bar, in 2011-12, the share of POL was approximately 30%. So the 30% of the out of the total import of goods, 30% import was belonging to the crude oil and the other products. In 2019-20, this is approximately 26%. So there is a decline in the overall import, although this is still the largest imported item. Friends, some of you might think that, sir, will the question be coming directly from this discussion? I will say the question may not come directly, but this discussion, these diagrams will make your fundamentals very clear. This will increase your confidence, and this will make economy your cup of tea. Coming to the commodity wise composition of import. In the commodity wise composition of import, we just discussed petroleum is the largest item, 27.4% in 2011-12. Second largest is the gold. So we love petrol and gold. In 2019-20, again petroleum is the largest, but the share has declined from 27% to 21%. The gold is second largest, the share has declined from 11.6% to 6.4%. Net services and trade deficit. Net services and trade deficit. So here you can see net services as a percentage of GDP. So in 11-12, net services as a percentage of GDP was approximately 3.5%, and now this is coming down. So net services as a percentage of GDP has come down, which is a cause of concern because India is one of the cheap service provider, but still the India's net services to GDP ratio is declining. Trade deficit to GDP ratio. So trade deficit to GDP ratio, we can see that this was approximately 10% in 2011-12. Then this came down to around 5% because of the crude oil, and finally this is approximately 7% as of now. So this trade deficit is actually improved, as we discussed. The merchandise trade balance improved because of the crude oil price decline. So here in this diagram we can see this aspect. Net services to trade deficit. So this net services to trade deficit in 2011-12 this was 34.7%. Then this went up to 63.8%, which is very good aspect. So net services increased, but now it is coming down. So you can see the share of services is declining, which is a cause of concern. So net services as a proportion of GDP reflects the net impact of service, export and import on BOP. India's net services surplus has been steadily declining in relation to GDP. So normally in India there is a merchandise trade deficit and service trade surplus. So merchandise trade deficit is offset or compensated by the surplus in the service sector. But now because service sector is declining, this is a major cause of concern. So net services as a percentage of GDP in 1914 this was 3.3%, and now this is below 3%. The surplus on net services has been significantly financing the merchandise trade deficit. So the point I just discussed, that because of the surplus in the service sector, this loss in the goods sector was compensated. Given a steady decline in the net services to the GDP ratio, the extent of financing will steadily fall unless merchandise trade deficit improves in relation to the GDP. So BOP deficit can become a big concern. Current account deficit can increase if we do not care about the export of the services as well as the goods. Now, logistics industry. So logistics industry, this is very crucial because now India want to become the manufacturing hub of the world. We are focusing upon the Make in India, right? And from Make in India, now we are focusing upon the Industrial Revolution 4.0 also. So in this context, India's logistics cost should be decreased. As of now, India's logistics costs are more than 13%, which is very high as compared to the world average. In the world, the average rate is less than 10%. So this logistics cost actually increase the cost of production, because of which the countries are not ready to come into India. So therefore, logistics sector has been given separately in the economic survey also. So according to World Bank's logistics performance index. So please be careful about this index. This is the index given by the World Bank, logistics performance index. So this question can be asked in the examination, that logistics performance index is given by which agency. India ranks 44th in 2018 globally, up from 54th in 2014. So in 2014 this was 54th rank, and now in 2018 this is having 44th rank. That means India has improved a lot. This is a good news. The government of India is working on national logistics policy. So we have a policy and national logistics action plan. We have a plan also. The government's focus going forward is to bring down the cost of logistics from the current level of 13 to 14%. So current logistics cost is approximately 13 to 14% of the product of the GDP to approximately 10% of the, in line with the best in class global standards for India to become the global competitive. So this will increase the India's exports because India's cost of production will decrease. So you can see World Bank Logistics Performance Index in 2018. The first rank goes to the Germany and India is occupying 44th rank. Source is the World Bank.